Hello and welcome to Global One Media. Joining me today is Chris Thompson from eResearch, and we're excited that he's going to share with us today details about the company's new initiation report. Hello, Chris. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
So, you've recently written a new initiation report on search minerals. Can you tell us a bit about the company?
Yeah, sure. I've launched a new on Search Minerals. Their ticker is SMY on the Toronto Venture Exchange. They also trade on the OTCQB. It's a very interesting company because they're exploring and developing a rare earth elements, or as it's called, project in Southeast Labrador. And they're also going to do rare earth elements processing plant in Newfoundland, Canada as well. The company itself owns two interesting resources, existing resources, 43101 resources. One's called Deep Fox, and the other one is called Foxtrot. And they also have some other regional prospects in the area all along the rare earth side of the business. And the company right now recently launched an updated PEA, and they're doing what they call their sprint to production as they try to move towards a feasibility study and to get into production in the 2025, the 2026 calendar year. And they've also got some good government support in the area for this project, so that always helps things along.
So there's a lot of potential indeed, but there may be investors who don't know a lot about rare earth minerals. Can you tell us about rare earth minerals and what are their uses?
Yeah, so rare earth elements or rare earth minerals, also known as REEs, are what a lot of people are calling critical metals or technology metals, and they're used in sort of our modern technology, and so they're extremely important these days in things like cell phones, electric vehicles, and because these minerals have unique properties. There's about 17 different minerals that are sort of grouped together in this RE category, these critical metals. You can't substitute them, so you have to use them. And they're used in everything we use today: cellular phones, wind turbines. Most people know what they're used for is the motors in electric vehicles, and what they're called permanent magnets. And they're the key components in electric motors. You can't have an EV without having some of these critical minerals in the actual cars. And so, one of the ones that you look at of these 17 is called neodymium. And this is, one that is actually used to make what they call permanent magnets. So, really important. In the actual report itself, which is over 70 pages, we have a 15-page section just on what the rare earths actually are.
That's quite interesting. And from your analysis, what do you think would be of most interest to investors in Search Minerals?
Yeah, I think that they're an advanced stage company, so it's not an exploration company. What they're doing is, as I mentioned before, they're sprinting to production. So they just released an updated PEA. They're starting to work on getting all the requirements together to start their feasibility study. They're looking to to be both a miner and a processor, to be able to produce stuff that is required in the marketplace itself, like a concentrate for the marketplace, so that they're not just mining. And they're looking to try to get into production in the near term, the 2025, the 2026 timeframe, which means that investors won't have to wait long to see the results from cash flow. And one thing that I looked at before that I always like is the district size of production. So they have a large land mass in Labrador with two existing resources, but they also have some other prospects in the area, which could also supply feed to their processing unit when the time comes. And the management team is excellent. They've got a lot of experts in their fields who understand the rare earth sector. And finally, they've already sold an offtake agreement or a partnership, I should say, for some offtake material. So once they get into production, they've got some guarantees in there to get some cash flow right away.
That's very good. And you mentioned a RE district in Labrador. Are they known? Is it known for mining?
Yeah, Labrador is in northwest Canada, and most investors might know it for Voisey's Bay. Voisey's Bay is a very large nickel mine. In that area, there's also been a lot of prospecting for gold and other elements. So right now in that area, because of the Voisey's Bay mine up there, there's a lot of infrastructure. There's communities. There's people who live up there. In nearby the project, there's a town called St. Louis, which has a power plant, accommodation, and an airport. So the infrastructure is good, and the community in the area knows about mining and can supply a workforce that could work the mine.
And how did you value Search Minerals?
Well, yeah. So when we're looking at valuing mining companies, typically you look for if they have a resource and if they have a feasibility study or a PEA where you can look at some of the economics. And so what in Search Minerals case, what I did is I did both a comparison of other companies as it moves from sort of the PEA to the feasibility stage. So I looked as they move to feasibility, their valuation should change, as well as I did a full DCF of their cash flow from the information provided in their recent economic assessment. And I took that in and I blended both a comparison between other companies as well as a DCF, a discounted cash flow of their future cash flow from the mine once it comes into production. And that's how I got the valuation itself. You can download the full 72-page report and look at my valuation metrics and my numbers, and you can come up with your own valuation. But you can see how I did the DCF and what numbers I used. I made my own assumptions. I didn't take the company's assumptions, and I think it's a fairly conservative price, but definitely higher than it is right now.
That's great. And my last question has to do with growth potential. What are the upcoming catalysts for Search Minerals?
Yeah, so they have still some results of exploration that they'll be doing this year is coming out. They also did a bulk sample of a 70-ton bulk sample of some of their deposits that they're processing right now. And so there's going to be some results as they process it into the actual, rare earth metal. They want to show the market that they can actually, take the ore from the ground and actually produce the metal. So that'll be quite interesting as that progresses along. And then they're going to, start working on what they call the feasibility study, which is the next step where they're wrapping even more economics around the project. And they're just starting to get that all the sort of the baseline together and start that, looking to release it probably sometime next year. And then, the target, the mining, it should be coming in 2025 to 2026 timeframe. So there'll be announcements made along as they progress towards that as well.
That all sounds very promising. Thank you, Chris, for sharing all of those details. We look forward to seeing you again.